Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Butler. I'll be doing my presentation over the Andy Griffith Show, Season 1, Episode 12. It is called Stranger in Town. This episode is about a stranger, Ed Sawyer, who shows up to Mayberry, and he knows everything about everyone, and no one knows anything about him. And they dislike that, and they want to kick him out of town. So that's pretty much what this episode is about. The new characters throughout this episode are Ed Sawyer, the stranger, and Floyd, the barber. That this is his first appearance in the Andy Griffith Show. So the show starts out with Barney and Floyd in Floyd's barber shop. Barney's getting his hair cut, and they're making jokes and laughing at his haircut. Andy shows up and they're having a good time. All of a sudden they hear the bus pull up and the horn honks, so they go to the window, and who steps off the bus? The stranger, which is Ed Sawyer. So he comes over to the barber shop and knows everything about everyone in the barber shop. So they think that's pretty weird. They follow him around. He seems to eventually make his way all through town, meeting numerous people in the town, and knows everything about everyone and the town. So everyone seems to think this is very strange, that he knows everything about them and they know nothing about this strange character. So they start to rebel against this guy, and they dislike that, and they want him out of town. They want Andy, who's the sheriff of the town, to kick this guy out of town, pretty much. But Andy is not the judgmental type. He's very laid back, so he wants to know all the facts. He wants to know everything about this guy before he judges this man and tries to kick him out of their small town. And so eventually Andy gets to sit down with Ed, and Ed tells him his story. Ed tells him about how he's never even been to Mayberry, but he was in the army with a fellow that was from Mayberry, and that's where he learned all about Mayberry, was from his friend who he met in the army. So he learned a lot of information about the people in the town and the town itself from this fellow and the newspapers that he started subscribing to from the Mayberry town newspaper. That's pretty much where he got all of his information about the people in the town, and that's why he started to like the idea of Mayberry, because he didn't really have a hometown or family to go back to. He was from New York, but he didn't have anything there that made it feel special. So he liked Mayberry and wanted to call it his hometown. So once Andy finally relayed all this information to everyone else in the town, the mob, pretty much, that wanted to kick Ed out of town finally started to back off a little bit and allow him to make Mayberry his home. So that's pretty much the summary or the plot of this episode. The film style for this episode, it's obviously a black and white film. It is a family comedy show, very hilarious, and it was very innovative for its time. At this time period, they had been using like a single camera, a single view, and it was more of a theatrical type feeling, as if you were watching something on stage. And so that's what was so innovative about the Andy Griffith Show, was they started introducing more than one camera, so that you can move. It's moving cameras, and then different angles in which they filmed the show from. So that helped give transition from one scene to another, and so on. It was very innovative for its time, and that's how our films today are filmed, with tons of different cameras and different angles, along with many other modern things that have been developed since then. So that's what makes this film so wonderful as well. I chose the film because I chose the Andy Griffith Show over the other two options because I love the Andy Griffith Show. I grew up watching it as a child. My parents pretty much made me watch it over the cartoons that I would have rather watched. But it's a wonderful show, and I appreciate it much more now that I'm older and actually understand it.